All right, good evening. Tonight is Monday, May 22nd. This is a special meeting of the Cranston City Council. At this time, I'd ask the clerk to please call the agenda, call the attendance.
Councilman Ferry,
Present.
Councilwoman Renzulli, Councilwoman Jermaine, Councilman Donegan,
Present.
Councilman Campopiano,
Present.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Present.
Council Vice President Vargas, Council President Marino.
Present. Okay. This evening, the only item on the agenda for the special meeting is the introduction of a resolution authorizing the sale of property located at 41 Heath Avenue, also known as the Sanders School, to Vicioso Homes for the sum of $261,500, and further authorizing the purchase agent to proceed with the sale. This is sponsored by Mayor Hopkins, and this is sought to be referred to the Special Finance Committee committee meeting also this evening, but at 6:45. Do I have any motions?
Motion to approve. Second.
Any discussion? Okay. All right, there being no discussion, if the clerk can please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Okay. This time, and entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion, meeting adjourned.
Good evening, everyone. At this time, I'd like to call to order the Special Finance Committee meeting. Clerk, please take a roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Present.
Councilwoman Jermaine, Councilman Campopiano,
Present.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Present.
Council Vice President Vargas, Councilman Donegan,
Present.
Council President Marino.
Present.
This evening, we do have two items before us. Before entertaining either of those, I'd like to open up for public comment. If there are any members of the public that have any comment on any docketed items specific to this Special Finance Committee meeting? Seeing none in person, are there any individuals online?
I see no public comment.
Thank you. At this time, we'll close public comment. Before us, we have committee business matters carried over for consideration of bids received in response to the advertisement for the sale of property located at Lot 300, Assessors Plat 4-2, 41 Heath Avenue, Cranston, Rhode Island, also known as the former Sanders School. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. This was discussed last week, I believe in executive session, if I am remembering correctly. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
For new matters before us, we have a resolution authorizing the sale of property located at 41 Heath Ave, also known as the former Sanders School, to Ficosio Homes for the sum of $261,500, and further authorizing the purchasing agent to proceed with said sale, sponsored by Mayor Kenneth J. Hopkins. At this time, we'd entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Council President Marino?
Just wanted to represent that in previous discussions, it was represented to the council that this sale does meet the requirements of it being at least 90%, I believe is a threshold of the appraised value. I just want to put that on the record as represented to us by the administration previously.
Thank you, Council President. Are there any comments from the administration before we move forward? Okay, thank you. This bid or this figure is consistent with what we budgeted in the amended 24 budget as well. Without any further discussion, seeing none, the motion before us is to approve the resolution. Clerk, please take a roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas, Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Seeing no other matters before us this evening, at this time, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
All right, good evening. Tonight is Monday, May 22nd. Welcome to the regularly scheduled Cranston City Council meeting. At this time, I'd ask the clerk to please call the attendance.
Councilman Ferry,
Present.
Councilwoman Renzulli, Councilwoman Jermaine,
Present.
Councilman Donegan,
Present.
Councilman Campopiano,
Present.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Present.
Council Vice President Vargas,
Present.
Council President Marino.
Present. At this time, I'd ask that we all stand and join in the Pledge of Allegiance. Next up this evening is approval of prior minutes. I'd ask for a motion to take items A through D of the minutes as a block.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan.
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. And next up, I'd ask for a motion to approve these minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. And next up this evening on the docket is public hearing and public comment. At this time, we will take public comment. First, we will take public comment in chambers on any docketed matters. If anyone wishes to be heard, please step up to the podium. Please keep your comments limited to 4 minutes and please state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Good evening, Council President, members of the council. Nick Lima, Registrar and Director of Elections for the city of Cranston. I'm speaking in regards to items 10, 13, and 17 on the docket this evening. The pending special election to be held by the city. I've been working on that for the last several days. I'm still waiting on some information, including a prospective calendar for the Board of Elections, but I wanted to provide the council a brief update just on the information that we have and for the public as well. We don't know the exact dates yet, but I want to let the council know that there are 2 bills in the Rhode Island General Assembly that could affect and impact the conduct of this election. One bill involves whether or not an election in a primary for special election can be held in back-to-back months. We are advocating for that legislation to pass. It is actually moving in the House. It is not advanced in the Senate. Under current law, a primary special election has to be held 30 days after or 30 days prior to the special election that follows it. The bill would make that the Tuesday after the first Monday that follows it. So an election could be held in theory 28 days, 29 days following a special primary. So we're looking at the calendar dates. That's kind of the situation right now. We don't know if that bill is going to pass or not. But also on the docket this evening, appointments to the Board of Canvassers. And as of tomorrow morning, I plan to schedule a Board of Canvassers meeting to be held at 3 o'clock in council chambers this Friday to discuss the special election prospective dates and get them to the Board of Elections. And the reason why there's a bit of a rush there is because the State Board of Elections meets monthly, and their next meeting is scheduled for the week following that, which is June 6th. And we want to make sure we can get on their agenda for June 6th. So despite the pending legislation, there's also another bill sponsored by Senator Lombardi and Representative Baginski that they put it in for us to allow us to combine polling places. There's new rules and regulations regarding polling places. And I was reviewing those this evening. It requires a public hearing by the Board of Canvassers, which we would try to get done in June. And then that has to go to the Board of Elections to be approved probably in July. So given there's some fluctuations there with pending legislation, I can't give you any exact definitive dates. Obviously, August, September, October, the first Tuesday of the month, those are all prospective dates. It all depends on what the Board of Elections gives us and what they can provide in terms of support and voting equipment. And it also depends on the legislation. But I just want to give that information in the council. I know it's not fully complete. As soon as I do have information, I'll email the council and as well as the administration. And as soon as the Board of Canvassers has the information it needs to make a decision, again, that decision will go to the Board of Elections and we'll get it posted on the city website, and we'll conduct the special election as Title 17 dictates with appropriate notice to the public. And that'll include a postcard mailing to all registered voters in the ward, letting them know about polling places and early voting, which would be tentatively held at City Hall rather than the Pasteur Youth Center. I will be available the very remainder of the council meeting, Council President, if there are any questions at the appropriate time.
Thank you, Mr. Lima. Anyone else from the public in chambers?
Good evening, Robert Murray, 21 Garden City Drive in Cranston. I'm just here tonight to speak and say I'm available on ordinance 3-2305. That ordinance was heard by the ordinance committee about 10 days ago and recommended favorable approval to this body. I know Council Vice President Vargas was not able to be there. This is the so-called Knight's Corner change of zone ordinance across from the Printworks. And the ordinance committee gave a thorough hearing on this, and this ordinance does include an affordable housing component. But I have nothing further. We'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Anyone else in chambers wishes to be heard?
Good evening. My name is Susan Blake. I live at 173 Grand Avenue in Cranston. I thank you for your time tonight to speak with you about Budlong Pool. 26 years ago, I took my 3-year-old daughter to Budlong to start to teach her water confidence and how to swim. As she grew, we progressed to the deeper water and refined her swimming skills. By the time she turned 10, I was coaching her form on her diving at the deepest end, and I was never concerned that she was not a strong swimmer. I continued to be a frequent patron at the pool even after she left home. I would set up my chair, listen to the happy voices of all the people playing games, challenging each other, hearing adults teaching other adults how to swim. And I was always at the deep end, diving in, swimming laps, and generally being grateful for such an exquisite pool experience. This is personal to me. Please stop the small pool agenda before too much of the $350,000 goes to Secoshia and Associates for drawings and engineering plans. In an April 2023 Rhode Island News Today article, Mayor Hopkins explained he wanted to hire Secoshia and Associates, a local firm, to help with the plans for the new pool. He emphasized, quote, "They offer us a firm with a complete range of professional services, including architectural design, consultation, and facilities planning," unquote. I did a thorough review of their website, including their portfolio and the news releases. Clearly, their niche is designing fire departments and the new bathrooms at the airport. Their only recreational facility photo was an indoor ice rink. Explain to me how they were ever selected as being even remotely familiar with an outdoor municipal pool adjacent to a sensitive aquatic area requiring all kinds of surveying and wetlands permits. You wouldn't hire a firm known for designing hospitals to draw up plans for a new Iggy's location. And conversely, you shouldn't hire someone who specializes in fire stations to draw up plans for an outdoor pool. In July of 2021, Rhode Island News Today had an article about other municipal pools in Rhode Island cities, and it read, quote, "Davy Lopes Pool in Providence is being shallowed, going from 12 feet at the deep end to 4 to 5 feet. Shallowing public pools is, in the industry, becoming more popular. They're referred to as sports or play pools with no jumping in rules." No jumping at Budlong Pool? You gotta be kidding me. Good luck with that. Coincidentally, our current Parks and Recreations Director was previously employed in a similar position at in the city of Providence, where the Davy Lopes Pool is located. Interestingly, according to the most recent U.S. Census, the demographic of 0 to 9-year-olds here in Cranston only makes up 9% of the population. The small pool will exclude the other 91% just by its very design. Our largest demographic in that census, by the way, happens to be 60 to 69-year-olds who make up 16% of our city, people like me, and this is personal. As a growing city, we clearly want and need the current larger pool. The mayor's plan is an irreversible waste of taxpayers' money, and it's a theft of a municipal facility. Lastly, after speaking with residents at the Spring Festival yesterday, as we gathered hundreds of signatures from those who support keeping the pool the same size, it was crystal clear that when it comes to Budlong Pool, residents agree size matters. Thank you.
Karen Rosenberg from 46 Bow Street. And I also wanted to just briefly talk about Budlong Pool. Just to say that some of us were at the Cranston Festival or Fair yesterday in Rolfe Square. And by the way, I understand that the police are the organizers of this event. Maybe I got that wrong, but it was fantastic. So if it was you, thank you and job well done. And it was a great day. It was a beautiful day. And we were mingling and talking to people about the pool. And we had almost all of the people who stopped and talked with us are in favor of preserving the current pool. Deep attachments to the pool. People do not want a small pool. They want the pool where they swim laps, where they taught their kids to swim, and so on and so forth. So the sentiment out there was very strong. And that was one day we spent there, just a handful of people. So, we're planning to just keep on going at it and spreading the word and talking to people until the city comes around and believes in the vision of saving the pool. The other thing I wanted to say is that I had a really cordial conversation with the mayor and with Chief of Staff Moretti while we were out there with our table. They came over and the mayor wanted to know what we were up to, and so we explained. And we had a very friendly conversation. And after some back and forth about the merits of keeping the pool the way it is, he said that honestly, he is not wed to a plan that would replace the pool with a much smaller one and add the other amenities. And of course, we express that amenities are fantastic. It's great to have a city where people want to move and have a high quality of life, with their families. So splash pads and pickleball courts and, dog parks are, nobody has an objection to that. It's just that there's a lot of places where they could go. But the Budlong Pool is singular. And if it goes away, that's it. It's gone forever. It's a piece of history that makes Cranston very special. So I was really heartened to hear that he doesn't, feel wed to that plan. He said, honestly, if the council wants to do the Budlong Pool, wants to repair the pool instead of replacing it, that's what I'll do. So I thought, wow, I'll come down here. I will share the conversation I had with him. I found out just by happenstance that the council actually did pass a resolution way back in 2021, and it was unanimous to, I guess, it's a resolution. So I guess it's just, giving the sense of the council, your recommendation, your non-binding recommendation to the mayor to use ARPA money and repair the pool. So it seems like the council is already on record in that respect. But, we'll just keep our fingers crossed that that we can get something going. It seems also that everybody is very anxious to get it open, and understandably, because it's been way too long. And honestly, it seems like very unlikely that with all the process that attends doing a whole new project and, and replacing the pool and so on, that is going to be much longer than it would be to just repair the pool that's there.
Respectfully, Ms. Bowes, you're well into your 4 minutes. If you could quickly wrap it up so others and if they
Rosenberg,
wish to be heard. Thank you.
Rosenberg, I don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry,
you should
Ms.
call me something
Rosenberg,
else.
sorry.
Anyway, yeah, no, so that's all I had to say. I thank you for your attention. Appreciate it.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joseph Levine, 16 Glenwood. Thanks for having me. Yesterday was a great day at the Spring Festival on Rolfe Street. The weather was nice and people outside enjoying themselves. After seeing us with the pool sign outside by the bank, many people approached us. They were interested in knowing what's going to happen with the pool. They could see the sign saying, please do not downsize. So didn't take a whole lot of persuading to get them to sign the petition to keep Budlong the way it is. Why? Because when it comes to pool size in Cranston, as previously said, size matters. We got 250 signatures of persons who support the idea of maintaining the current pool size. They really want to keep their pool size the same. And the idea of a multi-use Budlong pool with amenities was not important. Many said they could walk their dog on the sidewalk or in the park. Others said they could have barbecues in their backyard. and splash pads in the backyard as well. In fact, the sentiment was so strong that one gentleman wanted to expand the pool from its current size. He wanted a bigger pool. Most residents who talked to us were unaware that members of city council, as well as the mayor himself, actually supported the idea of reducing the pool size at Budlong. In addition, they had no idea that the mayor and some council members would be spending more money for amenities they were not interested in. So upon discovering this idea, many residents were annoyed and upset. So at that point, they quickly signed a petition for proposal 1. My question to members of this council is this: will you support the wishes of Cranston residents, or will you ignore them? It was a great day, as many have spoken. They have stated what they want, and when it comes to pools, pool size matters. And will you continue to support proposal 3, possibly angering many further? Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Elizabeth Capwell. I live at 41 Bryant Road in Cranston. I don't have much to add to what has already been said about the pool, except that according to the feasibility study that was done by the Federal Hill Group, the first option in the study, I assume everyone on the council is familiar with this study, it's doable. The pool is fixable. And it is the most affordable option. They said it could be done for $2.8 million just to fix and restore the pool and the pool house, and to make it, including making it accessible to people who are differently abled. The only other point I would have is that splash pads are great, but Bain has that. We don't need to duplicate that. That is all I have to say, and thank you for your attention.
Hi, my name's Sonia Poydras. I live at 190 Aqueduct Road. My house overlooks the pool. I grew up going to the pool. I used to have the pool tags around my ankle and my wrist. My kids get our passes every year. They look forward to taking those pictures for our season passes. So yes, I'm a lifetime resident, and I strongly advocate against downsizing this pool. This pool often would reach max capacity on any given hot summer day. People will be waiting outside just to get in. Downsizing it to a third would completely negate that. Over the years, the diving board was taking away this slide. We understand that for safety. But the pool's significant size always allowed swimmers of all ages and abilities, from toddlers splashing in the 2-foot end, to the adults swimming in the lap pool getting their exercise, to the teenagers jumping in the deep end. I don't see teenagers going to this pool if it's a third of the size. They're already contending with the draw of social media and fighting that urge against in-person socialization. This pool provides that for them. It's an option, a dying option. As you may be aware, an overwhelming response was received yesterday at the fair, with hundreds signing the petition to save our pool by preventing this downsize. This confirmed the clear need for a proposal resolution. Restoring our pool as its current size would also preserve the historical significance. Built by the Works Progress Administration in 1940, over 80 years old, the largest of its kind in Rhode Island and one of the largest in the country. We were even talking about nominating it for the National Preservation Society in Rhode Island. So in response to the question, what were your favorite memories of the Budlong Pool, on a Cranston Facebook page, Cranston Herald posted on June 18th, back in 2015, a statement from a former resident. In the 80s, there were 3 things that Cranston, were signs of Cranston summer. One was Rocky Point, one was Dell's Lemonade, and then the third was jumping into the Budlong Pool. We've already lost Rocky Point. We'd hate to lose Budlong Pool in its original capacity and its original size and structure. The experience of losing Rocky Point, it does hold a flame to the thought of losing this pool by being cut to 1/3 of its size. And we're pleading with the council to please return to option 1, which was the least expensive option to restore this pool. It was said to bring the pool and the pool house up to code at a cost of up to $2.8 million, leaving room to consider options that were proposed for option 2, such as a dog park. That could be considered maybe in the uninhabited land behind the pool that's not been used in any years that I've been around. So with this large community effort, I applaud the ladies for taking the initiative, and I appreciate your time and consideration in the matter. Thank you.
Anyone else in chambers wishes to be heard? There being no one else. Tom, anybody on Zoom?
I see no public comment. Actually, well, Councilwoman Renzulli has her hand raised, so.
Yep, and for the record, Councilwoman Renzulli had a previous commitment this evening, so she's not able to attend session. But if she wishes to speak as a member of the public, she has that right. Is that correct, to legal counsel? Yep.
She's being admitted right now. Councilwoman, you need to unmute yourself. You're unmuted.
Hi, thank you. My apologies. My name is Nicole Renzulli. My address is 54 Massachusetts Street. For the record, I appreciate the opportunity to offer comment as a resident of the city of Cranston. I will be brief. I just wanted to comment on a few ordinances tonight that will be voted on that I am in support of. I'm in support of the mayor's ordinance to use up to $350,000 of American Rescue Plan funds for the engineering and design cost for the construction of a Budlong pool and a bathhouse. I hope this passes tonight so that this process can be expedited and we can get a pool open as soon as possible. I'm also very much in support of the new police contract, which was very fair, and I appreciate the compromises that were made. Our men and women in blue do an excellent job, and I fully support them and this contract. I'm also in support of the mayor's amendment to the tax incentive plan ordinance. I think tightening up those programs is fiscally responsible, and I'm especially in support of the change that requires a check on the financial health of any applicants for a tax incentive plan, because I do support necessary incentives to bring businesses to Cranston and have the ability to thrive, but I do not support corporate welfare. I support the sales of the Sanders building, and I support the zone changes for the Knights Corner development. I'm so appreciative of the developer's commitment to both affordable housing and utilizing green building standards. I think it's going to be an amazing addition to the revitalization projects that are currently going on in Knightsville, of which I'm also very much in support of. I will save comment for anything that's being projected forward to other committees for the future when those are voted on. And I again thank you for the opportunity to comment tonight.
Anyone else on Zoom, Tom?
I see no public comment.
At this time, public comment on docketed matters is now closed. Next up this evening, we do not have any resolutions before us. First up, in terms of reports of committees, I will turn to Councilman Donegan as Chair of the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Council President. There were numerous items forwarded out of the Finance Committee meeting earlier this month. The first being Ordinance 3-23-01, ordinance transferring $350,000 from the American Rescue Plan Act grant fund for engineering design development costs for construction of a Budlong pool and partial renovation of an improvement upon the property, sponsored by Mayor Kenneth J. Hopkins. This passed out of committee and I urge passage.
Thank you, Councilman Donegan. At this time, does the administration wish to be heard on this ordinance?
Madam Council President, councilors, relative to the ordinance 3-23-01. In the context of time, this particular ordinance may not be needed, and I say that in what has transpired to date. The proposed ordinance was recommended to the council prior to the adoption of, or the introduction and adoption of the capital plan. With the capital plan, as you may recall, there was a line item in the amount of $4 million for the Budlong Pool. Actions of the council substituted the funding of the Budlong Pool from what was proposed as capital funding alone to being funded by ARPA funds, which we have already received and have in-house. Thus, this particular ordinance is redundant in a portion of the 4 million. That is, in the 4 million, this 350,000 was accounted for, and thus by the substitution of ARPA from loan funds, it would almost be a double count of expenses. So in the context of what has transpired in terms of Budlong, this ordinance in the adoption of the capital budget as amended, with the full 4 million being allocated to the ARPA fund, this may not be required.
Just a question for you, Director Zadelis and Director Moretti. Is the administration looking to proceed with this ordinance, or are you looking to withdraw the ordinance based on your presentation this evening, that you believe that the previously allocated funds through the capital budget by this council is sufficient, so that this is duplicative and unnecessary? The solicitor can comment on that. Yep.
Yes, Madam President, you may recall the last time that this issue came up, I believe I was asked by Councilman Donegan a question regarding the timing of what was then referred to as a transfer of the $350,000 from the capital budget. And the question was, did we have to wait for a new budget cycle, or was it part of this budget cycle? I opined then that I believed that we did not have to wait, that it was immediately available. And I've consulted with Attorney Angel. We seem to be on the same page with that, as well as with Director Zadelis. So from a legal standpoint, I think we're in agreement that this resolution is really superfluous. It really isn't needed.
Agreed.
Director Moretti?
Thank you, Council President. Given everything that's been said, the administration is asking to withdraw the appropriation. Thank you.
Given the withdrawal of this ordinance, there will be no vote to be taken on this ordinance this evening. Next up is item 4-23-02, ordinance ratifying, and I will pass it over to Chairman Donegan from the Finance Committee to tell us more.
Thank you. This is ordinance 4-23-02, ordinance ratifying the IBPO, International Brotherhood of Police Officers contract, Local Union 301 for fiscal years 2024 through 2026. This is sponsored by Mayor Hopkins. This passed out of committee unanimously, and I would encourage passage this evening.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion on this? Councilwoman Jermaine.
Thank you, Madam President. So I would like to say that I am in full support of this ordinance. Unfortunately, I couldn't be here earlier. Today is my son's birthday, so I have to do mom duty before I come here. So, but I am in full support of the ordinance, and to to the contract. So I will be voting yes. And happy birthday, Nolan.
Councilman Paplaskas.
Thank you, Madam President. I will be voting in support of this contract this evening. It's a fair contract for the taxpayers, and I certainly appreciate the concessions and some of the items and adjustments done by the local IBPO. Thank you to all the members for all the hard work you do keeping our city safe. And I also want to give a shout out and a thank you to former Personnel Director Perillo, who I know helped out with this contract as well. So thank you.
Any other council members? Okay, all right. No other council members on this. Before I take a roll, I just want to thank the administration, thank the IBPO leadership with respect to this contract. As I stated previously at finance, it's true, the concessions that were made are well regarded, and the ability for merit improvements in terms of within the department, I think will go a long way too with morale. And I want to once again say, as I have before and can't say enough, everything that you do every day is very much appreciated by us, and we thank you for that. At this time, if we can please take a roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
The next item we have before us is ordinance 4-23-03, ordinance and amendment of Title III, Revenue and Finance, chapters 3.84, 3.88, 3.92, 3.96, and 3.97 of the City of Cranston, 2005, entitled Tax Incentive Programs. This was sponsored by Mayor Hopkins. This passed out of committee, and I would urge passage.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Next, we have matters from the Special Finance Committee meeting held May 22nd. The first being resolution authorizing the sale of property located at 41 Heath Avenue, also known as the former Sanders School, to Vicosio Homes for the sum of $261,500, and further also authorizing the purchasing agent to proceed with said sale. This was sponsored by Mayor Kenneth J. Hopkins. This passed out of committee, and I would urge passage.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilman Donegan?
Thank you, Council President. And I would just, as mentioned in the special meeting, this figure is consistent with what was budgeted in the, or amended for the budget fiscal year 24.
Any other discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas, Council President Marino.
Yes.
Next, we have resolution authorizing real estate tax abatements.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campopiano.
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas.
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing motor vehicle tax abatements.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine. Councilman Donegan.
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano.
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas.
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Next, we have a resolution authorizing tangible tax abatements.
Motion to approve.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Next, we have consideration of tax interest waiver approvals for the month of April 2023.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
And lastly, we have consideration of tax interest waiver denials for the month of April 2023.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Thank you, Councilman Donegan. Next up is the report out of the ordinance committee from Council Vice President Vargas.
Thank you, Council President. I was not present at the ordinance committee meeting. I believe you had the pleasure of chairing that meeting, but I do have to note that there's one item that was read and that was heard, and that was 323-05 ordinance and amendment of chapter 17 of the Code of the City of Cranston, 2005, entitled zoning, change of zone 1388 and 1390 Cranston Street, Knights Corner Development Project, sponsored by Councilman Paplaskas. And it was amended in committee on May 11th. This passed unanimously in committee, and I urge passage.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion this evening? Councilman Donegan.
All I'd like to say is, again, I think this is a good development, includes affordable housing. They're going to utilize green building standards or some aspects of green building standards. And while a lot of people have mentioned how this ties into the revitalization of Knightsville, which is great, this is in Ward 3, and hopefully, this will lead to an uplift our part of the city as well. I think this is great on all ends, and I look forward to this moving forward.
Any other discussion? Councilman Paplaskas.
I just want to admit that Ward 3 is, as the kids say, popping. So keep up the good work in Ward 3, Councilman Donegan.
Councilman Ferry.
Yes, I am also in favor of this ordinance, and but I'm looking forward to seeing the new traffic details at the red lights next to the fire station. I just want to get that on record. Thank you.
Any other council members? Nope. Okay, all right. Before I take a roll, I'd just like to say, as I said at the site visit, the Pinch Me project, yes, you can quote me on that. With the component of affordable housing, the green components to the build, it will be a huge improvement to that area, and we all look forward to it. And it'll be a great attribute to the city. And at this time, clerk, if you can please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Next up on the agenda is a report from Councilwoman Jermaine as Chair of the Claims Committee.
Thank you, Madam President. For the last meeting, it was reported there was really nothing to take a vote on tonight, so it's just for informational purposes only.
Thank you, Councilwoman Jermaine. Next up at this time is public comment on any undocketed matters. If there's anyone from the public that wishes to be heard on any undocketed items, now is your opportunity to please step up to the podium, state your name and address. Please keep your comments limited to 4 minutes, and then we will do the same on Zoom. Is there anyone in chambers who wishes to be heard on an undocketed matter at this time? There's no one in chambers. All right, next on Zoom, Tom, is there anybody on Zoom that wishes to be heard on any undocketed matters?
I see no public comment.
All right, at this time, on public comment and undocketed matters is closed. Next up is the election appointment of city officials. We have before us the appointment of James Donahue as Republican Board Member to the Cranston Board of Canvassers for the term of March 6, 2023 through March 5, 2029, as nominated by the mayor pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 17-8-1. At this time, looking for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Next up is the appointment of Kirk McDonough as Democratic Board Alternate to the Cranston Board of Canvassers for the term March 6 through March 5, 2029, as nominated by Mayor Hopkins pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 17-8-1. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. And finally, final appointment is of Jeffrey Barone as Republican Board Alternate to the Cranston Board of Canvassers for the term March 6 through, March 6, 2023 through March 5, 2029, is nominated by the mayor pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 17-8-1. Do I have a motion?
Motion approved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Okay. We have no report of city officers this evening. Next is executive communications. First, we have from the planning director, Mr. Pizzullo, an update on the comprehensive plan. Does the administration wish to be heard on this? Mr. Pizzullo was not present this evening, or I don't see him in chambers. Question for you, Director Moretti. Have you had any discussions with Mr. Pizzullo with respect to the status of the comprehensive plan? Of late? Okay. Do you know what the current status is of the comprehensive plan in terms of whether or not it's going out to bid for a consultant? Or where we are in the process if it has not?
The RFP for the comprehensive plan was being developed in close to final form. What kind of put a little monkey wrench into the situation was we were notified that there is pending legislation with at the State House that may require updates to each of the municipalities' comprehensive plans with every 12 years. If we do the math from when the last time the comprehensive plan was updated, it will be 12 years next August or September of next year. Because of that timing, so it put a real monkey wrench into that thought process that Director Pizzullo was concerned about, the attorneys were concerned about. I don't know the resolution of that, whether to proceed, because I know that the RFP was calling for a 2 or 3 year contract with the 2-year renewable. And certainly if that legislation is passed, we're not going to be compliant. So I do know that there is a monkey wrench into that process. And that was the last I heard sometime last week.
Any council members? Councilman Donegan?
Thank you, Council President. Just going off of what was submitted in writing from the director, it does attach the the RFP, it says that it went live on May 10th. That tomorrow there's going to be a pre-bid meeting and proposals are due on June 6th. So what was the request taken down or is it still live?
It proceeded and I don't know. I know they were proceeding with some of the events that happened last week. I wasn't advised of any update.
Councilman Paplaskas.
Thank you, Madam President. I was just going to point out the dates that were linked on the docket as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Moretti, for giving us the update in Director Pizzulo's absence. And I just want to express once again, as we all stated in prior sessions, the need for an expedited comprehensive plan with respect to the RFP and getting the consultant and getting that rolling. So we appreciate the update. Next up is the legal expense analysis for the period of July 2022 through May of 2023. There's no vote on that this evening. It's just for informational purposes as well. Does anyone have any comments they'd like to make this evening? Or questions for the administration? There being none. Next up, it's under Council President Communications this evening. We have the May 18, 2023 letter of resignation of a former Councilman Riley representing Ward 6, which was effective immediately. This evening is just going to be a vote to receive this letter of resignation dated May 18th into the record, which has been posted online as part of the agenda with respect to that resignation. And do I have a vote to accept this letter of resignation into the record?
You need a motion?
Yes.
Motion to receive and accept this letter into record.
Second.
Any discussion? At this time, before we take the roll on this, I would just like to say that, as I've stated previously, and I'm sure other council members feel the same way, we wish Councilman Riley well in his health for his own sake, sake of his family, and we are looking to move the city forward now that he has resigned, which was the appropriate thing to do. Okay. At this time, clerk, if you can please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Next, under council member communications, first up, we have Council Vice President Vargas. If you'd like to, you have the floor.
Thank you, Council President. Just bringing up my notes for this. Thank you. So as noted, it's on here, the my council communication is regarding the Knightsville project. And I voted to support the funds that came through on budget night. And I did mention when Director Moretti was before us that evening that I'd like to stay up to date on that project and that I would be adding it to the docket. And so just want to ask to the director who's here with, is he still here? Yep. So with us this evening in terms of where are we on that project? And with the understanding that I think probably a little less than a year ago, just for record purposes, we received the dollar amounts that was coming in terms of the Knightsville project, and we did receive a legislative grant for 10,000, a congressional CDS grant, Knightsville streetscaping of $500,000, Rhode Island Commerce Placemaker grant for the Knightsville gazebo of $150,000, Rhode Island DEM recreational grant for the Knightsville gazebo of $400,000. We went through phase one. I believe the dollar amounts that you had requested during budget was for phase two. These are congressional also earmarks that we've also have received as noted in what I just mentioned in the comments that was relayed to us by our grant writer. Given the fact that there is some construction that's also taking place or future construction in terms of repaving and the area in terms of making sure that the streets, the sidewalk, everything else that goes with it, I think was noted that was all going to be part of phase two. Can you tell us where we are? I know we just discussed this probably a little less than a month or just about, and I do plan to just adding it on there just because I want to make sure where we are. Nothing at all against the council member that we have, Councilmember Papalaskas, who I know who has been advocating for this project for quite some time. But keeping in mind that not only do we have congressional funds, state funds, but even just money coming out of capital improvement. I just want to make sure that we are on task.
Sure thing. I'll try to recap, try to keep it tight. How about if we address what we'll call phase one, which fundamentally is the new park. There's the project cost would be just over in total estimated to be just above $1.4 million. You did indicate that we have received grants, Rhode Island DEM for the park, 400,000, Commerce, 150, legislative grant, 10,000 for a total of 560,000 to reduce that cost. That's about 40% of the entire project. So our best guess at this point is that it should come from the city bonding, city financing, about 870,000 of the 1.43 million. That project is to be delivered to the city by June 30th. They're on target. Just today, they began to install the gazebo in the pergola. So the contractor is very much on target, and it should be in the city's hands again on or before June 30th. It's going to be a hydro-seeded lawn, so it'll take a little time for the lawn to come in. But that's where we stand in terms of, we'll call it phase one, the park itself. As to phase two, which is the streetscape, really coming from, I'll say Randall Street, coming down Cranston Street. I call it the spokes back onto Park Avenue, continuing to Cranston to Vervina, just near Anna Charlie's restaurant, going down just at the park, the end of the park on Phoenix Avenue. If you envision that, there'll be some bump outs, street bump outs to allow ultimately outdoor dining, along with decorative lighting, all new trees. I guess most of the trees in Knightsville are diseased at this point, and a new stamped concrete sidewalks and paving and fresh paving, certainly. The timing of that should be going out to RFP probably within a month or so. And you don't know the cost until you get those the quotes back, but it's estimated to be approximately $2.8 million gross. You mentioned that there is a $500,000 grant we received in working with Congress, particularly Congressman Langevin. That was the first grant we actually received. There's another grant we actually received, another $300,000 from Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank. So it's a total of about $8 million. So we're estimating to be between 1.9 and $2 million from the city financing. Have to mention this, the governor has taken quite an interest in this project, and the mayor is in discussions with him too, because of his interest in it, that we're working with him to see if we can get additional funding for street lighting. So hopefully that number comes down, or if there's other grant opportunities, that number will continue to go down. That represents about 30%, without any further grants, that represents about 30% of the project to be funded via grants.
Just to follow up, so the additional $300,000 of which we are being granted by the infrastructure bank, that is going towards bump outs,
That,
or is that the lighting?
that
part
would
of it, the
be
gazebo.
mostly for, handicap accessibility, sidewalks, and, and the roads leading to it and crosswalks.
Was that initially part of the entire project when
Yes.
we started?
Yeah, it would
discussing
have to be. Once
project
once you
about
mess
2-3
with the
years ago?
sidewalks, now they must be ADA compliant. So yes, so that would just reduce the cost of what the plans originally were.
Can you just tell me once again, what do you think the overall project included phase 1 and phase 2 is actually going to cost without utilizing grants?
Assuming probably about probably about 4.1, 4.2 million, excluding grants. Net of grants, it looks like about $2.8 million, which represents about a third of the project at this point being funded by grants. And we're still obviously looking for additional grant money.
To supplement the additional costs that we may come across with any unforeseen situations, or
Well,
just to
for
keep
instance, if
dollar?
the governor
dollar
comes through, if the governor comes through with grants, they're very foreseen, it would reduce the project. And those numbers that I gave you includes contingency. So beyond contingency, and again, you need to get the quotes for the job in order to give you a firm number.
Okay, great. I have a few questions. So the $4.2 million is outside of grants. The additional amount that you are looking to find is at least another million or so? No, just a 4.2 million?
That's at this point what it's estimated to be total cost. Not looking for any more money.
Okay. The RFP part of that is just for the bump outs and the lighting, correct?
The entire streetscape project, it would be contracted as one contractor, that, contractors to bid and one job. So they will be the general contractor. We would just oversee the general contractor.
I have another question, but I may kind of go into just like capital improvement and what we, where we are in terms of like bond ratings that is probably going to be out of line out of this. So I appreciate your, I think so. I appreciate your update on this. I guess, and legal can actually kind of just interrupt me if I am. On the capital improvement, we're pretty much borrowing, right? And funding any projects that come out of capital improvement, right? That's been approved
Yes,
in the
it's not
budget.
necessarily dollar for dollar because there may have already been some bonding money that we already have. So it would be any difference, but let me just say largely that would be the case.
So when I can move this to finance or not, what's our bond rating right now? Where do we stand in terms of S&P?
AA+ with Fitch.
Okay.
Which, to give perspective, obviously there was concerns about the city finances. Fitch strongly believed the way, I'm going to be frank with you, the way the city was being managed, the way that the city hasn't been afraid to have to increase taxes, been ahead, fiscally responsible, as you know, with cooperation and involvement with the city council. We've improved the financial situation. We're able to hold that for the last, last at least two years. And they were very complimentary of the city, frankly, because we were not afraid to take action because they were concerned about other municipalities around the country that were not doing what Cranston was doing. So we were holding to AA+.
So with this capital improvement, we do have to somewhat borrow. We may or may not fully, right?
It will come at a time, yep.
And we won't know the interest rate until we actually pull.
Yeah, and
the
it becomes an art.
obligation.
And Mr. Zidelis will be best in articulating it, but there's a combination, whenever you're borrowing, there's a combination of what they call bands and bonds. Bands being bond anticipation notes, which is basically pure interest. You could typically, depending on where interest rates stand, you can ban for a year. It's like construction like a construction loan as a project commences until the project's complete. And then typically you go for bonding, which is your 20-year cycle. The Mrs. Idalis is keenly aware of where interest rates are now. And so this year, whether it be for roads, whether it be for schools, whether it be for any of the capital projects, I believe his inclination is going to be looking for possibly more banding while interest rates are high, anticipating them to come lower before you lock into those. But that's kind of I'll say a financial art, and he could best explain that.
All right, thank you so much.
Any other comments, questions from other council members on that topic? No. Okay. Next up is Councilman Paplaskas. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I put on here discussion on new business submission deadline, only because this month, the deadline to submit new business was May 11th. And I felt like that came up kind of quick because we didn't even have the second set of committee meetings yet. So not picking on the rules. I think it's great to give Madam Clerk as much time to put the docket together. I just put it on here for discussion in case the date's not working. I felt like it came up really early this month. If I had a couple more days, I might have put something in for new business, but that can wait till next month. It just seems like it's a month and a half almost so you can put new business in again. So just wanted to bring that up.
Any other discussion from council members? Okay, and Councilman Paplaskas, those are the rules we all voted on, but they're flexible. Obviously, the clerk, as you know, from your time as council president, the clerk has a hard time deadline to comply with state law in terms of posting the agenda and needs time to get the agenda done. But with anything, the clerk and everyone is as flexible as they can be in terms of submitting something after that date. If there's time to put it on, it will surely and easily be put on. Yep.
Thank you, Madam President.
Next up is Councilwoman Jermaine. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam President. So this topic of Badlong Pool have been in the agenda, and as you heard from many residents this evening, I had to express really my concern in light of the mayor's public statement after last month Public Work Committee meeting hearing. So I want to make some brief comments about the Badlong Pool to make sure that there is no misunderstanding about where I stand. My constituents have made it clear that they want the pool reopened and are extremely frustrated that this has not happened in more than 3 years since its closure due to the pandemic. City residents need an affordable and accessible place to cool off in our increasingly hot summers coming. So I'm increasingly concerned that the mayor has not done due diligence to determine what is really necessary for the pool to reopen, or is relying on inaccurate or at best highly suspect information about the pool's condition to justify changes that are unnecessary, financially irresponsible, and not aligned with what city residents want or need. Here are my really specific concerns. One, the mayor had not been transparent with the council or the public about his plan for the Badlong complex. The council amended the budget to provide $4 million from the city's ARPA funds to be allocated for the renovation. because we passed a resolution that says clearly, fix, repair, renovate Budlong Pool. We all voted, we all co-sponsored this resolution. So because when we allocate $4 million in the budget, we did not want that the city saddle with financing, but that should not be misinterpreted as support for the mayor's plan for the pool, as the mayor has never provided us with a detailed written description or what he intends to do. We don't know. I don't know. I am deeply concerned that is the mayor's intention was reflected in the report prepared as is request by the Federal Hill Group to replace the current pool with one that is smaller. Such a drastic reduction in the size and capacity of the pool has not been made clear to the public, and I have no reason to believe that it will be acceptable, and it's not acceptable to our constituents, and they show that here tonight, because this reduced size will not meet the needs of the resident as summer temperature continue to rise. 2, the mayor's appear to be moving forward on the basis of flow information from the FHG about the condition of the pool. FHG never joined the pool to perform an actual inspection of the drains or liner. No one sought any information from the former Parks and Rec Director, Liberatore, about the pool's condition. Even though he was responsible for the pool for 20 years up until his retirement in 2021, as he is knowledgeable about the pool as anyone. The mayor has not made the FAG available to answer questions, and his representative prevented us at the last meeting from hearing from Mr. Liberatore last month about the many inaccuracies and questionable conclusions in the FAG about the pool's condition. So if you look at the report, page 45, including FAG's estimate that the pool is leaking an astronomical 40 to 60 gallons per minute, which would be refuted by the water bills for the last year of the pool's operation, when there was never a need to add water during the pool's hour operation. So those are information that were there. The claim effects of water loss on the pool's chemistry and treatment requirements are similarly untrue. FHA's statement that the pool is not emptied at the end of the season and loses its water through cracked drains is wrong. The pool has historically been half emptied at the end of the season. The remaining water is left to ensure the liner stays in place. Those are from people who understand what has happening. The FAG statement that the water is escaping into water table via cracked drains is at best unsubstantiated because the pool has not been emptied and FAG has thus never inspected the drains. The FAG's assertion that the pool is filling with groundwater in the spring is inconsistent with its claim that the pool is losing 40 to 60 gallons per minute through cracked drains. The water in the pool visible in the picture from April 2022 in the report was what left in the pool in 2019. Plus rain and some snow melt entering the pool. FHA's statement that the liner is floating on groundwater is incorrect. The pool is equipped with a pump that would pump out any groundwater buildup. Mr. Liberatore has told me that FSG's claim that the pool does not meet relevant legal and code requirements for prevention of suction, entrapment, and that the filters are outdated or causing environmentally concerning discharge are also flatly untrue. The filter system was updated in 2017 and approved by the Department of Environmental Management. 3, it is fiscally irresponsible to spend millions to replace the pool if it's not necessary, when we have just had to use most of our ARPA funds and will still need a series of tax increases to cover an ongoing structural deficit and have had to shortchange other city priorities. So I wanted to make it clear, so it is urgent that the pool be reopened. It can be fixed. If it can be fixed, we don't want a downsized pool. My constituents repeatedly email me, they came here, they asked us, we can stick to the pool, the pool can be fixed. We can use our money wisely, fiscally responsible. So the bathhouse can be in good repair and fully handicap accessible. We have the money for that. So I hope all of you who co-sponsored my resolution last year to fix, renovate, repair Budlong Pool, to join me in insisting to keep the pool size and to do what is correct, what is right for our constituents, so because that's what they want. So my question was to know what really the plan, because some ways we heard one third of the size, 2/3 of the size. What is it about exactly? Do we have a plan in front of us? Are we going to rebuild? What size? Do we have a timeline? And what is happening as of now?
Director Moretti?
Thank you, President. Those are pretty strong statements, accusations about the mayor. We have to respond to that, of course, that he has not done his due diligence in what is necessary for the pool. That questions what, that he's been financially not responsible to the council and to the residents, and the mayor's not been transparent to the council or the public. And there's no reason to believe the size of the pool is to be acceptable. And just to note, Mr. Liberatore, the former director, hasn't stepped foot in those pool grounds in a good 2.5 to 3 years. Those are rotten statements that are impinging the integrity of the mayor. And I think each and every one of us know the integrity of the mayor is much more higher than that, okay? The mayor's position is this. Mrs. Rosenberg said it best, and Ms. Rosenberg said it best. He's been hearing so much about this pool for the last 2 years. The mayor doesn't know what the council wants at this point. The council has to make a clear statement. Do you want, the mayor's going to do what the council wants. The mayor does believe the pool is beyond practical repair. It's good. The money you put into it will be a Band-Aid that's going to throw a lot of money, and maybe it can be repaired and probably not staffed, in which case, if you don't get enough attendance, you're not going to open a pool. But throughout that, if the wisdom of this council is that repair the pool, the mayor will do his best to repair that pool. We've been hearing that it's been perfectly fine under the plan, and everyone seemed to have agreed with the reduced size pool in repairing the bathhouse to be ADA compliant and state code compliant. We were moving forward. We will stop moving forward this evening if this council does not want what we've spoken about before. in terms of transparency, people just have to, including any members here, need to pay attention and replay video of what's transpired in the city council, because here's where everything has been said. There was one meeting, the mayor was kind enough to have the council person in, one of the council people here, to share an initial drawing, and it was all wonderful apparently. And for good reason, it was modified in that thought. It was an architectural drawing. It was, from that point on, it was scaled back. The mayor is willing to move forward. The mayor is also willing to do what the people want. And as representatives, the city council should let the mayor give us a clear definition of what you want. We're not hiding anything in that office. We're just getting mixed signals from this group. And that's very unproductive. And I'm not quite sure if there will be a pool open next year, given the procrastination that's occurred. So I kindly ask for a clear definition of what the city council would like to do. So the mayor will be happy to accommodate that and accommodate the people that really care. So whatever your recommendations are, we will wait to hear from you. Thank you.
Councilman Ferry?
Yes, I don't want to sit here and point fingers at anybody. But I do want to say what I have felt from the beginning and what I have said on record about the pool. And that is that I am still convinced that we've never, ever had a pool person go there and tell us whether or not the pool can be fixed. That's the first thing. I've never seen that report from a pool person. The second thing is, my constituents said they don't want to downsize the pool. I agree with them. I'm still convinced we can fix the other pool in the bathhouse. Let's not go back and forth and point fingers at each other. Let's just say what we all think, and that's what we should do. We should make it a consensus. I think spending $4 million is still too much money. I have felt that from the beginning. So on record, go back 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. I have not changed my mind on this project. I think $4 million is too much money to spend on that pool, period. Thank you.
Councilman Campopiano?
Yeah, I think we need to dream higher than just fixing a old pool. I live near the Chafee complex, and every day I drive by it and I see that beautiful complex with a track, baseball fields, soccer fields, tennis courts, basketball, everything. And I'm very proud of it. And I'm very proud that people before me had the foresight to put that in. And I never thought about how much that cost. And $4 million coming from the opera funds. The opera funds to me was a healing money. Everybody was hurt in that time through COVID. And this is money that was given us to heal. And I think that building a complex that multi-use, and we don't have any idea what the size is yet. It says downsize, but we don't know the exact size because it wasn't designed yet. But I talked to the people in Pawtucket, and they have a beautiful facility, and they accommodate all the people they need to accommodate, and they're adding to their facility. I think a facility that has a splash pad and has a pool will meet the needs of many ages. I know there's a splash pad at Bain, but we talk about walkability. Do we want the people to drive to Bain to use their splash pad? What about the people in this neighborhood that can walk to that area? So I think we need to think forward, and let's look at the plans. Maybe we can adjust them. We can see the people that use it, make sure that it fits the sizes. And I think it'll be a beautiful place for our citizens.
Any from council members? Right. To this topic of the Budlong Pool project plan as brought up tonight by Councilman Jermaine, and I respect the members of the public that spoke this evening on this topic, as well as, of course, council members. As I said back in 2021, the goal is still the same. Get the pool open and operational, and whatever that means is what we need to do as a city. That's what I've said since 2021, 2021. That's what I've said consistently as I sit here today. And we are at the mercy of the skill of the experts that the administration is within their sole discretion to hire, to assess the condition of the pool, to tell us as a city what is needed, whether it's repair or replace. That's the way this works, which is why back in whatever it was 2021 or 2022, we raised questions as to the study that was presented to us by the administration from the Federal Hill Group that didn't have any information as to whether or not the actual company was qualified or who even drafted the report, raising questions. We have now fast forward to the point where we could not do anything last year in the budget because the administration, through no malice, did not put it through as part of the capital budget plan through the Plan Commission, so that we as a body could not have made any approval to expend the ARPA funds or any funds for that matter with respect to it. Let's fast forward to this year's budget, and we as a body approved the $4 million to expend under ARPA to get that pool up and running. And at the end of the day, what that ends up looking like exactly, the people have spoken. I take the mayor at his word and his representation to the citizens. And I believe in one of our previous sessions, we've stated it needs to be a swimming pool, not a wading pool. There doesn't need to be bells and whistles. It just needs to be a pool with an operational bathhouse where there is swimming and in a large enough size to have the capacity to sustain the citizens and the public that will utilize that pool. Whatever that specifically comes to be, we will see, but we as a council with the administration have already appointed those funds. And I want to see it happen, and I want to see it happen yesterday. Thank you. Next up, Councilwoman Jermaine, you have another item on the agenda?
Yes, this item that was brought to me by my constituent, at last time we have a meetings, we had I was told that there's gonna be some effort to regulate, because some of the residents want to know if they have to establish Airbnb or VRBO. So what are the process to do that? So that's why I was asking. I don't know if there is anything that has been done from then.
Director Moretti?
Councilwoman, I apologize on behalf of the administration. I asked Solicitor Malay to speak to this topic this evening. He's not here. I see Attorney Videcchia not here. If you can please continue that to committee or next month, we will get you an answer. Again, I apologize. It's embarrassing on behalf of the administration. I sincerely do.
No problem. We can, clerk, we can continue for the committee meetings. Ordinance, yeah, ordinance committee. Do you need, Mr. Moody, do we need it for next month or next committee meeting? Next month? Next month.
I'm sorry. Could that go on the Safety Services Committee? No.
No,
No.
no, it's not a
Okay,
safety
Legal
issue.
counsel,
Ordinance committee.
ordinance committee, yep. Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Clerk's got that, yep. All right. Next, we have no council business matters carried over. Next up, we have introduction of new business. At this time, I'd ask for a motion to take these matters as a block.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Motion to approve the block?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano.
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas, Council President Marino.
Yes. And last up is item for informational purposes only. Director Lima spoke on this earlier from the city clerk, to the Board of Canvassers, the notice of vacancy for council position Ward 6 and the request for the special election pursuant to our city charter section 2.06. Does Director Lima wish to be heard again on this? Oh, no. That's a no. Any comments or questions from council members? All right. Oh, Councilwoman Vargas.
Thank you. To the information that Director Lima provided to us after the meeting on Friday at 3 o'clock, do you mind through the clerk just sharing the update on that meeting?
Absolutely. Before I leave the office on Friday afternoon, I'll send a communication out to the council and to both party chairs regarding the results of that meeting and what we believe the next steps are at that point.
Thank you.
All right.
Motion to adjourn?
Oh, before we do that,
Yes.
sorry, it's not on the docket, but I have started to get phone calls regarding when the pride flag raising is in June. I'm working with the administration actually on a date on that. So I just wanted, in case anyone's watching, understands that. Thank you.
Okay, motion to adjourn. Do we have a councilwoman, Jermaine?
Thank you, Madam President. I want to mention May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So even though we didn't have a resolution to acknowledge that, so I want to say to everyone who cope with mental health issue, there is a lot of resources out there, and we're thinking of you. And please go in those places and reach out to someone and talk to someone if you are experiencing some mental health issues. So I want to mention that.
And while we're on the train of doing things a little unconventional right now, I want to give a thank you to all the community that stepped up this weekend and the police for running a well above board community event, showing once again how you're a great community partner and an asset to the city. At this time, Councilman Ferry, you have a motion to adjourn. All right, thank you. All those, aye, okay.
Aye.
Are you?
I'd like to be acknowledged for a moment.
Sure, go ahead. All right.
Thank you.
Unconventional before we-
No, I was gonna say something. The Yankees aren't playing tonight, so my grandfather doesn't have anything to watch, so he's watching this evening, and my mother texted me, and he's not doing very well,
Oh,
so
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to thank him from picking us up at the Budlong Pool to Little League to sporting events to city council meetings, always being there to support, everyone in our family. So thanks for watching tonight, Bob. And I
Thoughts
love
and
you.
prayers. Yep, thoughts and prayers. All right. All those in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned.